Charles, that's a perfect segue into Cori Bush, who is just a left-wing loon who is out there now. And she does this on the anniversary of Michael Brown's death in Ferguson and Michael Brown's would have been birthday in Ferguson over and over and over. She keeps pushing this bill that she wants passed, which would, here, I'll give you a couple highlights. Recruit, hire, train, and dispatch mental health professionals and community health workers to provide comprehensive mental health services to individuals who have suffered traumatic experiences or are in grief, in bereavement, or at risk of suicide or violence as a result of witnessing or experiencing law enforcement personnel violence, the death of a family member due to law enforcement personnel violence, the death of a colleague or a neighbor due to law enforcement personnel violence. And this is how the bill defines law enforcement personnel violence. Law enforcement personnel violence means a situation where a law enforcement agent uses force. So now the taxpayers under this Cori Bush bill would have to pay for the mental health services for anyone who is on the other side of a law enforcement agent using force, justified or not. And here she is announcing this bill once again, which has gotten no traction just the other day. Watch that 23.
Michael Brown should have turned 28 years old, just 81 days after his 18th birthday. A Ferguson police officer killed him. In a just world, Mike Brown would be with his loved ones right now, dreaming of his future as he blows out the candles on his birthday cake. They were all left to live through the trauma police violence leaves in its wake, to deal with the mental health effects of it on their own. Police killings of unarmed Black people are responsible for more than 50 million additional days of poor mental health days per year. Almost a decade has passed since we lost Mike Brown, but we're still on the front lines of the movement to save Black lives. Happy birthday, Mike Brown. Rest in power.
Oh, my Lord. Michael Brown is dead because he attacked a police officer. That's why he's dead. It's sad. He has only himself to blame, as Eric Holder's DOJ found. Eric Holder's DOJ. I'll just show you this one thing, Charles. As you know, Shelby and Eli Steele made a documentary called What Killed Michael Brown. You can still get it on Amazon, which tried to ban it for a time. And they, in the documentary, take a deep dive on what killed Michael Brown, and it was not cop racism. And they had actors read actual testimonials that were given to the DOJ by the actual witnesses to the moment that Officer Darren Wilson did shoot Michael Brown when he was charging the officer. Take a listen.
Immediately after he did his body gesture, he came for force, full charge of the officer.
His hands were balled up. He has his arms bent towards his chest, and he's running like, almost like a tackle running.
I heard him say, "Get down," about 2 or 3 times.
I probably would have shot him instantly if you charge at me like that. But when he was running back, he was screaming, "Stop, stop," and the officer was backing up as he kept coming closer to him, and he didn't stop.
But he's her poster boy. What do you think?
Well, I actually think there's something profoundly wrong with her, and I don't say that facetiously, but she is somebody who has spent a long time trying to defund the police, abolish the police at one point. Now she's trying to pass this law, which is not a federal concern. Police are and ought to be local, while spending quite a lot of money, I think up to $600,000 a year on private security. And then when called on it, saying, well, of course I need private security, otherwise I'd be in danger, which is fair. I don't begrudge her private security, but it's incredible to argue indignantly that you need private security because without them you might be in danger, while trying for a period to defund and abolish the police. And she doesn't seem to be able to see it. So her logical reasoning skills are perhaps not what we would want in a federal representative. I mean, this is really an offshoot of defund the police in the sense that it is a softer attempt to imply that the entire, and I won't say force, because there are hundreds of them around the country, thousands of them, but the entire police apparatus of the United States is irretrievably racist, which I don't think is true. The presumption of the bill is every day police go out there and they harass and batter African Americans. And it's so bad and so frequent that we need a federal law that deals with the consequences of it. And the irony of that is that while, of course, there are some bad police officers in America, and while there are presumably some racist police officers in America, and while we have occasionally, as is inevitable in a country of 330 million people, seen some incidents that were regrettable in America, if she, as she said, wants to save Black lives, the way you do that is to train the police properly and fund them. This seems irrefutable. I've never read a single statistical analysis here that shows otherwise. The way that you improve the outcomes for disproportionately poor African Americans in America is to make sure that they have good, well-trained, well-funded police. If Ibram X. Kendi had any integrity about him at all, he would define defund the police as a racist policy. His definition being that anything that disproportionately affects or hurts African Americans or minorities is racism. Well, Cori Bush's approach to policing is, by his definition, racist. And yet, once again, we see her on the screen insisting otherwise. She's a menace.
Rich, just some data. We always look at the Washington Post, which now tracks the number of black men who are shot, unarmed black men who are shot by cops each year. The cops, they pull over or have interactions with tens of millions of Americans every year. They want to check your license. You didn't signal when you were taking a red, whatever it is, a turn. On average, they make between 7 and 10 million arrests a year in this country, between 7 and 10 million. And according to the Washington Post, the number of unarmed black men who on average get shot by cops each year is between 12 and 19. For the past 10 years, I just pulled up the past 9 years. It's 174 in the past 9 years out of some 7 to 10 million each year who get pulled over of Americans. And by the way, just to give you a feel for what's in those 12 to 19 per year, who they consider unarmed men, one of the cases we just pulled, 2 Louisiana State prisoners, 2 Louisiana State prison transport officers shot and killed a prisoner trying to escape. All right, so it's a prisoner trying to get away from them. The second one is a 4-year-old boy was killed by cops. Why did they do that? Because the cops showed up at a home where a woman had been stabbed multiple times in a domestic dispute, and the suspect, who was the stabber, grabbed the little boy, pointed a knife to his throat, and one officer, obviously fearing that the worst was about to happen, fired his weapon to try to save the child, but struck them both and killed them. That's counted in the 12 to 19. And yet this moron is out there wasting my time and yours, pretending that there's a massive problem with racist cops traumatizing the black community, and her exhibit A is Michael Brown, the poster child in the hands up, don't shoot lie.
Yeah, it was a total lie. It's a lie that hasn't completely died yet. There was never an epidemic of police shooting of unarmed black men. That was a lie. You know, those 12 to 19 a year, whatever they are, they run the gamut from some that are true outrages and cops should be punished for and do get punished for, to ambiguous cases, to just totally justified uses of force, even though the person, the target was unarmed. And Megyn, a month or two ago, they tried to make a big deal of this. I think it was in Chicago. They tried to make an outrage of a case where a young man was pulled over, had a gun, defied the orders of the police to keep his windows rolled down, and shot at the police first. And they were trying to make him, one of these victims whose names we supposedly remember forever. So look, Michael Brown's life was a tragedy, but the tragedy was everything that happened before that interaction with the cop that led to him being so undisciplined, led him to being such a bully, led him to having such poor impulse control and judgment, such that he tried to take that cop's gun and probably shoot him dead. So it was a totally justified use of force.
Grand Canyon University, a private Christian university in beautiful Phoenix, Arizona, believes in equal opportunity and that the American dream starts with purpose. Change the world for good by putting others before yourself. Whether your pursuit involves a bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, GCU's online, on-campus, and hybrid learning environments are designed to help you achieve your unique academic, personal, and professional goals. With over 330 academic programs as of September, GCU meets you where you are and provides a path to help you fulfill your dreams. The pursuit to serve others is yours. Let it flourish. Find your purpose at Grand Canyon University. Private, Christian, affordable. Visit gcu.edu. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.